This story is titled, My Fiancé Keeps Making Big Financial Decisions Without Telling Me, and I Feel Completely Left Out. I always thought love was about trust, about building a life together, hand in hand, but lately I feel like I'm just an observer in my own future. My name is Claire, I'm 38 years old, and I've spent the last 3 years in a relationship with the man I believed was my soulmate, Ethan. But now I'm starting to wonder if he sees me as his partner at all. We live together in a modest but beautiful house in Denver, Colorado. A house we both picked. A house we were supposed to build a life in together. At least that's what I thought. But lately, Ethan has been making massive financial decisions without so much as a conversation with me. The first time, I brushed it off. The second time, I questioned it. But the third time? The third time shattered something inside me. It started 6 months ago. Ethan came home with this confident, almost smug look on his face. "Babe," he said, tossing a set of keys onto the counter, "I bought a new car today." I blinked. "What?" he grinned, grabbing a beer from the fridge. "Yeah, traded in the old one. Got it fully loaded, brand new. You should see the sound system." I forced a smile, trying to ignore the unease creeping into my stomach. "That's great, but we didn't talk about this." He waved it off. "Come on, Claire. It's my car. I paid for it. I didn't think I needed permission." "Permission? No, that wasn't what I wanted. I wanted involvement, discussion, partnership. But maybe I was overreacting. After all, it was his money. So I let it go. Then, 2 months later, it happened again. I came home from work to find Ethan in the kitchen, humming to himself as he scrolled on his laptop. "Hey, babe," he said, barely looking up. "Guess what? I bought us a rental property." I laughed, waiting for him to tell me he was joking. But he wasn't. "A what?" "A rental property. It's a great investment opportunity. I talked to a guy at work and he said real estate is the way to go. So I put a down payment on this little place across town. We'll make a fortune in passive income." I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. "Ethan, a house? You bought a whole house without talking to me?" He frowned, as if I was the one being unreasonable. "Claire, I make good money. It's not like we can't afford it. But that's not the point. We're supposed to be a team. You can't just make life-altering financial decisions without me." His eyes darkened, his jaw tightening. "I don't see why you're so upset. This is for us. I thought you'd be happy." "Happy? Happy? How could I be happy when I felt like an afterthought in my own relationship?" But again, I swallowed my feelings. I told myself he had good intentions. Maybe I was being too sensitive. And then came the third time, the moment that broke me. It was a Wednesday evening. I was cooking dinner when Ethan walked in, whistling, his hands casually stuffed in his pockets. "Hey, babe," he said, far too casually. "Got some exciting news." I turned to him, wary. "What now?" He smirked. "I bought a boat." The knife in my hand clattered onto the cutting board. "You what? A boat?" "It was a once-in-a-lifetime deal. We've talked about how nice it would be to have one someday, right?" I stared at him, my chest tightening. "Ethan, we joked about having a boat someday. Not now. Not when we already have a mortgage and a rental property and—" He rolled his eyes. "Relax, Claire. We're fine financially. That's not the point." My voice cracked. "The point is, you keep making these huge financial decisions without even asking me. It makes me feel like I don't matter." His face twisted with irritation. "Why do you always make everything about you? I'm doing these things for us. I work hard. I should be able to make decisions without being interrogated." Tears burned my eyes. "That's not how a partnership works, Ethan." He sighed heavily, shaking his head like I was being ridiculous. "I don't see the problem. You're overreacting." Something inside me snapped. "Overreacting?" My voice shook. "Ethan, I have compromised so much for this relationship. I've trusted you. But every time you make these massive choices without me, you're telling me, showing me, that my input doesn't matter." His expression hardened, but I didn't stop. "I don't need to control your money. I don't even need you to ask me for permission. But I do need to feel like your partner, like my thoughts, my feelings, me. I matter." For a moment, he just stood there, silent, cold, and then he scoffed. "You're being dramatic." And just like that, I knew. I knew I wasn't overreacting. I knew my feelings were valid. And I knew, with every fiber of my being, that Ethan wasn't the person I thought he was. Because love, real love, it doesn't make you feel small. And in that moment, I had never felt smaller. I barely slept that night. Ethan had gone to bed without another word, leaving me standing in the kitchen, my heart pounding in my chest. The silence between us was louder than any argument we could have had. The next morning, I sat at the kitchen table, staring at my coffee, my mind racing. How had we gotten here? How had I let this happen? I had always believed in compromise, in choosing my battles. But wasn't this more than just a battle? Wasn't this about respect, about partnership? I didn't hear Ethan come down the stairs until he was right in front of me. He stretched, yawning like it was just another morning. Like last night hadn't shattered something inside me. "Morning," he said, grabbing the coffee pot. I looked up at him. "Ethan, we need to talk." He sighed as if he had been expecting this. "Claire, not this again." "Yes, this again," I said firmly. "Because it keeps happening. And I can't pretend it doesn't hurt me." He rubbed his temples. "Claire, I don't get why you're making this such a big deal. I make good money. I'm not putting us in debt. Everything I do is for us." "But you don't even ask me," I interrupted, my voice breaking. "You don't even consider me, Ethan. You make decisions like I'm not even part of your life. That's not what a marriage is supposed to be." He scoffed, setting his coffee down with a little too much force. "So what? You want control over my money? You want me to check with you before I buy a sandwich, too?" Tears welled up in my eyes. "No, Ethan. I want to be your partner. I want to be included. I want to feel like my voice matters to you." He exhaled sharply, rubbing his jaw. "Claire, you're overthinking this. I make money. I spend money. It's not like I'm gambling it away or hiding things from you." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "But you are hiding things. Maybe not intentionally, but you're making these life-altering choices without me. And every time you do, it feels like you're saying, 'I don't need you.'" He stared at me, his face unreadable. I took a deep breath, my fingers trembling. "I can't do this, Ethan. Not like this." His eyes narrowed. "What are you saying?" I let out a shaky breath. "I'm saying, if you can't see why this hurts me, if you can't even try to change, then maybe we're not meant to do this." Silence. A long, heavy silence. Then he laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh, come on, Claire. You're seriously talking about breaking up over this? Over a few purchases?" I felt my stomach twist. He still didn't get it. And he never would. I pushed my chair back, my heart hammering. "I think you should stay at your rental property for a while. Give us some space." His smirk faded. "Wait, you're serious?" I nodded, even as my chest ached. "Yeah, I am." For the first time, I saw something flicker in his eyes. Panic? Realization? I didn't know. And honestly, I didn't care anymore. Because love isn't about money. It's not about who earns more or who spends what. It's about respect. And Ethan had shown me over and over again that I wasn't his partner. I was just an afterthought. And I deserved more than that. The end. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Have you ever felt unheard in a relationship? Share your thoughts below. I'd love to hear your story.